Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Wherever you're joining us from, I'm so excited because we have a special guest with us today, and I'll go ahead and just start introducing him. I'd love for everyone to meet Aboyeji. He's not a stranger to most people. He's the general partner and co-founder of Future Africa, a platform that provides capital, coaching, and community for mission driven innovators building an African future where purpose and prosperity is within everyone's reach. Prior to joining Future Africa, he helped start Andela, Flutterwave, two of Africa's largest and fastest growing technology companies backed by global investors. So today I just want to chat with him and learn more about, his work, his background, and, learn from him in terms of wealth creation. How do we create opportunities? How do we provide value? How do we grow and build globally relevant organizations? So, Iyin, welcome.
Thank you very much. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We have people that will be joining us as we continue engaging. This video would also it will live on YouTube eventually. But
Awesome.
it's such an honor. Thank you so much. He's joining us from Lagos, Nigeria, right?
Yes, I'm joining you from Lagos, Nigeria.
Yes,
Precisely.
and he goes between US and Lagos.
Yes, precisely. I do frequent between US and Lagos, but I've been in Lagos for a while now. I just these days I'm more of a visitor in the US than a resident.
Oh, nice, nice. So
Yeah.
basically, so if you're here, just drop a note, say hi. We will take questions at the end of our conversation. So, you are a leader to many. You are an inspiration to millions of people around the world. And when you think about the future of Africa, what role do you think the youth would play?
Yeah, I think really what we're here to do is to build the future of Africa. So, when I was growing up, there were many different reactions of different groups of people to the future. I found with a lot of older colleagues, as I like to call them, a lot of it was fear for the future, right?
Mm,
And perhaps maybe some trepidation, some fatalism about how the future will turn out, how the country wasn't good, how the future wasn't good, and people's immediate reaction was to find opportunities elsewhere where they could build better futures for themselves. But I think up until now there hasn't really been as much intention as you see today to actually build the future of this country that we're in, and actually ensure that that people are able to live in a future where prosperity and purpose is within everyone's reach. So that is what I think young people are doing today, taking a hard look at our challenges. So they're not rosy-eyed, they're not Africa rising and coming back. Um, taking Looking at how you can turn those hard challenges into global business opportunities, and by doing so, creating a world of opportunity where prosperity and purpose is within everyone's reach.
wow, wow. So incredible. I'm glad you used the word build, because we all desire for, you know, greater, better. But what I tell people is number one, Africa is not going to rise until Africans rise to their responsibility, right? And
Mhm.
even for us that we've traveled the world, regions of the world, they were built.
Mhm.
So I guess my next question would be, how do you build? How do you build a nation? How do you build an economy? How do you build a business? You are a serial entrepreneur and you've had the opportunity to build multiple enterprises that are globally relevant. How do you build?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is really by being very focused on the challenges, right? And then figuring out how those challenges can turn into business opportunities. But, in my mind, I think about, our own approach to building, and we call it TD3. right? And the first step is really, how do you build talent, right? How do you build people? Because at the end of the day, that's what everything ends up boiling down to. It's all about people. So how do you build talent that can help you build the kind of economy that you want? For a very long time, one of our challenges in Africa is that we've not been good at building human beings. We're good at selling them, exporting them. We're good at oppressing them. We're good at suppressing them, but we're not good at building them up so that they can be who they want to be, right? And they can contribute positively to national development. So that's a big mindset change that we have to change, which is, how do we build the economy? Sorry, how do we build people? The second thing is really taking a hard look at the data. So a lot of people who try to build, I find a lot of Nigerians particularly, their approach is really just a lot of imagination about what already is in other countries and thinking about how to replicate that in Nigeria, whether or not the market exists, or not. And what I've realized, it doesn't work that way. You need to be willing to build, to put together data, a data-backed approach to solving problems. It's not by emotion. It's not by we should be a first world country. It's by, look, this is the problem. This is how people can afford to solve it. This is who needs the product. This is how they want to buy it. This is what they can do, and then building out from there. So, data makes building less of an article of faith or a function of intention. It's more now like a scientific process. So after building, then you think about design. So when you now have that data, how do you design solutions in such a way that they meet people's needs? It's not about copying, because a lot of people copy things from the US and bring it here, and they don't work. And we know that very well because we see the impact. And that's because our people don't design. They don't learn how to actually design solutions to problems in a way that doesn't create more problems, but actually reduces the problems that exist. So design is very important. And then finally is distribution. No matter how great your product is, it cannot sell itself. So you're going to need trusted partners and channels. You're going to need influencers. You're going to need industry leaders and a reputation in order to sell. So what we think about in terms of distribution is, how does this solution get out to everybody, to more people than normally would. So when you think about talent, you think about data, you think about design, and you think about distribution, then that's a solid path to building things in Africa.
I love that. And I see comments already coming in. Lukman Oloyede says, people is everything. That's the biggest social currency in the 21st century. I see Achimpong, I believe from Ghana, saying, hello, everyone. Hello. And they're already dropping questions for you. Lukman, I see your question. Please start dropping your questions. Let me, chat with Mr. Inyi, and then I'll come to the questions. But please, as we're talking, if something comes to your mind, just drop it. So, Inyi, you said something that caught my attention there. You said also making sure you know what people can afford to pay you for solving that problem. And in one of my classes, when I teach business development, I actually started teaching it because I realized that the tools that big brands use for solution design, SME, small businesses did not have access to those tools. So when you think about the cycle of, identifying your customer profile, making sure what's your value proposition, making sure you can also develop a business model that then tells you what you're going to charge somebody if you solve that problem for them. So you did mention it in a way, but can we dive deeper in that? Because what I tell people is, if you provide a solution and you don't get paid for it, that is charity. Okay, and there's a little bit of charity in the work somehow that I do, but ultimately building a business is about providing value, and it's exchange of value. You provide the solution and somebody pays you for it. But one of the things I've also seen is there's a culture there's a culture on the continent that comes from maybe development organization that they don't want to pay for things. They don't invest in human capital development. When you talk about talent, talent comes out of building yourself, investing in yourself, or somebody else investing in you. So talent doesn't develop by magic, right? So let's just assume now somebody is already graduated. How do they build themselves to be relevant in the global economy versus waiting for somebody to do it for them?
Yeah, I think we're in a very unique strait in Nigeria because to be very honest, and perhaps in defense of those people you're talking about who don't like to pay for things, we're a poor country. We're a very poor
Uh,
country. I know we like to kid ourselves that we're rich, oil-rich country with all these minerals and blah blah, but we're a very 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 poor country, right? And it shows in the data, right? People just can't afford things, even things that would help them. They can't afford it. So when we think about these solutions, I've come from the point of view that look, how can you exchange time for money? Right? How can you exchange time for money? That's the point of view I come from when it comes to building a business under these constraints. The payer doesn't have to be the person that looks like the payer. What is important is that if you're taking time from another human being, it's important that you give it back to him in value. And trust me, he'll be willing to share that value with you. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
yeah, yes. I mean, so when you talk about being a poor country, so on this past Saturday, I actually partnered with the African Union and I delivered training to economic officers across African countries and then US government African embassies. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the masterclass was trade and investment masterclass. And one of the things, what you just talked about, one of the things I explained to them, I gave them two views. One was for a resource rich country like Nigeria that has oil, let's walk through the flow of oil money.
Mm-hmm.
All money flows, the government does a contract, gives a company rights to drill, to mine, to do whatever. The company does what it wants to do, gives the government the money. So let's look at a funnel. The money starts as a funnel, it's handed to the government. The government has expenses, good governance, they have expenses, they will have to build infrastructure, build road, and they start spending that money. Okay. So all money, let's say the people are at the floor. I asked them a question. When you look at resource-rich nations, that money never gets into the hand of the people. It's never designed. Like the government doesn't cut check. From everything they earn, they don't cut it. They don't cut
Yeah.
checks to the citizens.
Yeah.
Sure, all of those things for good governance, not the bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I told them, in that world, the citizen never gets rich because that money is not designed for citizens to grow wealth. So
Mm-hmm.
I drew that line, then I drew another line of, then how do a people become prosperous? And I explained to them that business to business deals,
Mm-hmm.
whether local, regional, international, and when that money comes, it lands directly in the bank of that business person. It doesn't go to the government, right? The only way the government gets anything is through taxation. And then I shared with them that when you look at China that has done this really well, we need both sides to work. We need governments to be prosperous, but it's just one side. You know what you just talked about Nigeria being poor. It's because only one side has been functioning, at scale in that world. And I told them China has created more millionaires and billionaires in the last 20, 30 years than in the last 200 years of China.
Yeah. Precisely.
So there were so many things I shared, but that one caught my attention when you talked about Nigeria being rich. The government of Nigeria could be rich, but now with oil crisis, the government of Nigeria is poor. The government of Nigeria being rich doesn't mean the people of Nigeria are rich. So
No,
how then do the people learn the skills so that they can go out there and put food on their table versus waiting and saying Buhari would come. Buhari is never going to put food on your table. Forget it.
Yeah.
The best
Yeah.
thing they would do for you is light, infrastructure, road, the common amenities that the people are going to use. So that was just something that I had to share with them because
Mhm.
we need to reorient ourselves instead of waiting for a government. The government is not designed to put food on your table. So
Mhm.
anyway, I know I just went off there. But what you
No,
said, yeah, but what you said about Nigeria is true. People don't want to believe it. But here's the thing: the population is underperforming, productivity is low in
yeah,
Nigeria.
very low. Exactly. Precisely.
So how
I
do
mean,
we
I'm just looking at
improve?
it from a pure GDP basis, right? So, or
Mm.
even just from a pure foreign exchange income basis, right? We don't. I mean, if you shared all the oil wealth of Nigeria, I think I saw somewhere that everybody gets a cut of, I think, about $14 a year or something,
Yeah,
or
that's what
something.
I'm saying.
So I mean, at the end
Please
of the
take their
day,
eyes off that money.
exactly. On the other hand, now if you can turn people's time to money, I mean, I'll use the example of Andela. When we started Andela, a lot of the people who we recruited were earning, maybe $100 a month, right, or less, right, less than that. By the time they were out of Andela, they could go and get a job at a cushy big company that would pay them over $100,000 a year. You
Mm.
understand what I mean? So think about the income multiple over that period of time. It's pretty ridiculous. You
Yes, yes.
understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
So
I see more comments coming in.
mhm.
Lola L says, I don't agree that Nigeria is a very poor country.
Well, I mean, a lot of Nigerians tend not to agree, but the data is very stubborn in that respect.
Yes, and it's back to who is rich in Nigeria. Is it the common man? You know, if all you're having is one Dangote, then
Hmm.
there's a problem. You
Hmm.
should be having 100 Dangotes, 200 Dangotes in a country of 200 million people.
Exactly.
Dangote should not be an exception.
Yeah.
If we all know the rules of the game, that these things are achievable for any common Nigeria should be able to go out there, build a business that is not just locally relevant, but
Or
globally
globally.
relevant. But there are certain things you have to do. First is the mindset. Now let me just pick from there. What is the power of a global network? Because
Mm,
I tell people that, there are three markets: your local market, your regional market, your global market. The rules of the game on those three markets are different. So if you are operating local and you show up to a global engagement, if you are not better prepared, you will not walk away with any opportunity. So what do you think about that? Like, how do we prepare people to become global players?
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think a big part of it is building talent locally.
Yeah.
Um, that's what I've learned, the hard way. When you look at Nigerians all over the world, right? People like you, for example, you see what you've been able to accomplish outside of Nigeria, and then you wonder, what does it look like if all these people are able to do this and more within Nigeria, right? And so it starts with really being able to provide our people with skills in new sectors of the economy. I'll give you an example. The other day I had a challenge today. And something had happened, and my normal business, the normal way I normally do things as a payment provider, was disrupted. And immediately I just realized, I knew like 8 Nigerians who were global crypto experts. And we literally were able to restore operations on the blockchain in about 3 to 5 hours.
Wow.
And that's the power of Nigerian expertise. And I can think of other fields where this could be the case, whether you're talking about, bioinformatics, whether you're talking about tech, whether you're talking about trade. There are great players all over the world that are Nigerian that are leading in these spaces. And so I think the most important thing would be to focus on how do you enable more of such. I'm sure there would be more of you if every child in Nigeria had an education,
Mm.
right, and could be able to grow to the level that you've grown not in a society. So
Mm.
I think that's really what the key is. You know, how can you how can you help Nigerians to be able to fulfill their potential by leveraging science and technology?
Wow. I tell you, I just love this conversation because, again, one of the topics that I dove through with the government on Saturday was digital disruption.
Mm, mm,
Yes, I basically walked through about 15 different. I said, what does it mean for Africa?
mm,
And the first thing was around new skills. And I told them, you know, the industry I came from was already operating digitally, like digital trade, where the systems I helped build at Walmart, we were conducting live auctions, right? Live
mm-hmm,
auctions of this is what we want to buy. And, people from all over the world would log in live and bid for the business, against each other.
mm-hmm,
I also shared with them that right now, China has digital alerts that they scout the internet every day for new buying, selling opportunities, new trade opportunities. So they run
yeah.
machines that if there's any RFI, RFQ, all of those things popping up for their commodity, for their items, all those things, the computer just scouts the internet, scans it, and every day they wake up, they check their email, they look at all those websites they have to visit, and they start applying, for buying opportunities.
Mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm,
in terms of the skill set, the foundation is ready when you think about the internet. For people that do global trade, you buy from China and you've never seen the people you buy from in China. So why not Africa? But I'm seeing a skill gap of education, and not the education we used to have, because the education the British that we are still running on the continent teaches you how to read and write, but it doesn't teach you how to solve problems because everybody knows what the problems are.
mm-hmm.
So what you've done at Andela is, it's not just average skill. You basically gave them global exposure, global skills that are relevant. So how do we introduce those skills that will be relevant? Look at the universities
Yeah.
across Nigeria. If you go through those universities, for the most part, you come out and you be like, "Oh, what just happened to me?" Then you have to
Yeah,
read.
I think so. You know, I like to look at this thing as a bottom up thing because, for example,
Okay.
like Nigeria, we have 13 million kids out of school. So you have to think
Mm,
about it in elementary, not even like from university or what you do after work. Because there's so few people are getting a university education that it's insane how much we focus on it.
mm,
But for me, I'll tell you, what I would say we focus on is, how do you teach people to read? Huh? To read.
mhm, mhm,
How do you teach people to write? Right?
mm,
Right.
mhm,
How do you teach people to speak? Right? And finally, how do you teach people to learn?
to
How do you
learn.
teach people to learn? So those are the four things, right? How do you teach people to read? How do you teach people to write? How do you teach people to speak? And how do you teach people to learn?
Mm,
And I say those are the four kind of cardinal things because if I gave you any field today, in another 3 to 6 months, it's less relevant. Do you understand what I'm saying? And there's some other new things coming up. So, and a lot of, unfortunately, our education systems are built with all this rigidity kind of forced on it, where a lot of young people are forced to study this and study that. These days now, you can't even get what you want to study anymore. You have to
mm,
go. You have to go to another course, which makes no sense because the education resources on the internet are infinite and can take any number of students. So why are you putting restrictions on us being able to do e-learning? I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
I do. I do. I do.
Uh,
Wow.
so So yeah, so my own thoughts are, it's just important for us to teach them these skills, and then most importantly, teach them how to solve problems. You understand what
Okay.
I'm saying? When they get to problems, how do they solve the problem? By, using contacts, friends, people that trust you, and so on and so forth, in order to do so.
Yeah.
Does that
Fantastic.
make
Fantastic. Yes. So I'm going to switch a little bit now. Let's talk about investor relations. You have
Absolutely.
you have you know Bemu. How do you attract investments? How do you engage with investors? How do you build trust enough that Mark Zuckerberg will give you your company $24 million? Tell me.
Yeah, I mean, these people never make decisions by themselves, so I don't know if it's Mark making a decision or some other person in his office. But I think what it really boils down to is um, being very mission driven, because
Mission
that would make
driven.
it easier for you to make some sacrifices.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to say, for the first, I think for the first 6 to 9 months before we got funded at Andela, I never took a salary, and I think
Mm,
for the first year of Flutterwave, I never took a salary. So if you're coming into this with the hopes that there's money for you to eat, there's not
mm,
a lot of money, right? And if you do that, investors don't trust you.
mm,
Second of all, being willing to over communicate even when things go bad. I can't
mm,
say I only had good things happen with my investors or in my career. I've definitely had quite a bit of bad, but you know, um, I'm in a position where um, basically that good overweighs everything else. I don't know if
mm-hmm.
you understand the point.
I do. I do.
I- And then I would say finally, it's just important that we really get to a point um, where we think carefully about the other building blocks of the kind of economy we want. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So the way I look at it, in the digital economy, you have 5 pillars, right? You
Okay.
have digital infrastructure, you have digital platforms. Layered over digital platforms, you have digital financial services. Layered over digital financial services, you have digital skills and digital entrepreneurship. Now, if you were looking at this framework, right, just making the investments in making the investments in just bolder things, and this is where the state has to really up its capacity and
Mm,
really has a lot to do. So, for example, in India, they had this very ambitious project. They built IITs.
mm,
You get what I'm saying? All over the states, about 40 something of them, world class, and they currently produce more than half of the world's Indian CEOs, right? So, all the Indian CEOs everybody shouts about, why can't Nigeria do it? They all came from Indian institutes of technology because they had that
mm.
vision, broad vision. I never see big enough projects in Nigeria, and that's the point of concern.
But here's the thing. You and I know big projects only come from people with big vision. You can't
Yeah,
manufacture that thing, right? When you say let's put a
maybe
man on
we,
the moon. Sorry?
yeah, maybe we need more people with big visions, right? I think that's a valid point.
Yes. I
Maybe
mean,
we should get more
yeah,
vision.
we used to call something, having a can do attitude. I mean, it sounds cliche, but if you feel you cannot do, then you won't do. But if you feel that anything you set your mind to do, then you become limitless in terms of what you can go after, in terms of the opportunities, right? So it's one of the challenges we have in terms of you and I, if we were to map, the potential of Nigeria and say, hey, the next 20 years, this is when we want Nigeria to be. Because we've seen the possibilities around the world, we can do that. But then, sometimes when you look into the highs of the leadership, I wonder, where are they taking Nigeria? I don't know. But we will continue to do what we can do to engage, to educate, right? And I see there are more comments. Ian, can you still hear me? I hope I didn't lose you, Ian. Oh, we just lost Inyi. He's joining us all the way from Nigeria. I hope he joins back. Let me also see if I can reach him on his cell phone. But I'm going to read some comments and hope that Inyi can join us back. Um, join back. Let me make sure everything is okay. Okay, so I see comments coming in. Let me just scroll through those comments. It says great work Inyi is doing. Lukman's okay, your question said, why are brand owners taking a backseat on social advocacy and activism? Yeah, that's a question I hope we can ask Inyi because he's quite involved as well. Okay, Lukman also says, repeating what Inyi said, we can exchange time for money by creating value. Yes, value management, value addition. That's what it takes, right? If you're providing value, okay, he's back. Awesome.
Yeah, hello. Can you?
Hey, awesome. Good, good, good.
I don't know what happened there. I think my
Yeah.
internet is out. I think they're cutting off internet. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I was using the opportunity to actually look through. We have quite a lot of comments coming in. So let's go through that quickly.
Okay,
Um
fantastic. That's
yeah,
great.
Lukman said, why are brand owners taking a back seat in social advocacy and activism?
I'll tell you why. So I mean, because it comes with consequences, right? So for the most part, most brand owners are afraid because, and this is because Nigerians permit it. Because if we lived in a society where it wasn't acceptable for you to victimize a company for standing by their beliefs,
Mm,
then that wouldn't be the case. But routinely, companies that take strong social stances are victimized by the government, and nothing happens.
mm.
Uh, so I think that's something in the psyche of people that needs to change.
Yeah. I think for me, I say the weakest link in Africa is still the private sector. Because when this private sector becomes stronger, remember what I talked about at the beginning in terms of how do people get rich? Because the government still has that oil money strength, that influence, and there are not enough heavyweights in the private sector. This is what happens. But in China now,
Yeah,
the Chinese government cannot just wake up and do anything to, the people, because they will have to consult with some of the heavyweights in the private sector. So I think the future of Africa is strengthening the private sector more. We've lost your video. I know we can still hear you, but we've lost your video. So
let me
let
go.
me let me see. Yeah, while you're doing that, let me keep going through the comments. Um,
No, I'm good now. I'm back. Sorry
awesome,
about that.
awesome, awesome. Okay, Lukman also says, repeating what you said earlier, we can exchange time for money by creating value. Yes. Um, Somebody made a funny comment. Rashid said, "Not all people should be rich." That's a
Well,
funny
I mean,
one.
that's a fair point, but I think that no one should also be living in abject poverty. I think
True.
that's more So there's no good excuse for anybody to be so poor they can't afford to eat, or
Hmm.
no one is saying they have to be rich, but at the very least, people should be able to live a very basic, decent life.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And Lola says again, the majority of our resources are being controlled and handled by those that have no business with effective allocation of those resources. So if even if that is true, even if they do a fantastic job, so yes, right? Even if they do a fantastic job, I still believe that the private sector still have a lot of work to do to go out there and create wealth. And
Yeah,
so the responsibility of the government is one, but in terms of creating wealth for the people, not creating the society. I'm saying putting what comes into your bank account. That's what I'm saying. How do you build wealth in the private sector? I know the government, there are things you cannot control, but what you
Yeah.
can control is getting the right skills, building a global network, providing value, learning how to deliver on your promises and getting paid for it and doing it over and over again. That is something you can control. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I have the same mindset, right?
Yes.
At the end of the day, the thing about resources is that they flow to whoever creates the most value, no matter how they get them. So they have a mind of their own, because, if no matter what, right, if I have certain expertise or a service, it doesn't matter who has the resources, they have to give it to me. So the more of our young people we can put in that, the more of it, we can put in that position. The more young people we can put in that position, the better for all of us.
Yeah, fantastic. Lola also says the people at the government and the government is not rich. Yeah, with oil crash, definitely. Um, Isi Ramen says nobody wants to grow anymore. We just want fast success. So, you and I were talking before we joined that, you know, people don't really know the sacrifices and the hard work it takes to build anything. You had talked about we need to build a nation, but really, what does it take? What sacrifices does it take to build a globally relevant business?
I mean, you just really have to be mission oriented. You know what I mean? Like a lot of sacrifices, a lot of challenges. You're always going to more will be required of you. There's a lot of disbelief as to whether you can build it or not. And you just really have to be very mission focused for you to be able to get through all of those things and make the necessary sacrifices to do it. I mean, I think a good indicator of how hard it is the fact that after 2 years I leave.
Ah, is that
Yeah, it's almost like going to war.
yeah.
Doing it because of duty. So
Oh, yes, yes. Just this morning, I was having a chat with somebody and I said, I am a fighter. I fight for what I believe in. And I also said to her that, as you know, a lot of Nigeria, I know global people are watching this, but within Nigeria, I say everybody wants to reap the rewards of a great Nigeria, but who wants to fight for it? Who wants to fight, who wants to sacrifice to build that Nigeria, the Nigeria that was handed to, over after independence, right? So people actually fought for independence 60 years ago, right? And they brought a new Nigeria, they gave birth to a new Nigeria, and that was handed over. Now we are faced with the Nigeria of today, but we can design the Nigeria of tomorrow. So it takes work, like he said, it takes mission, it takes passion, it takes persistence, dedication, it takes everything you've got, pretty much, and more. It also takes collaboration, right? And finding people that are like-minded that will keep you energized, keep you focused. And that's why for me, I've also built networks and community of people with like-minded. So I'm scrolling down now. Um, Lola is really fully engaged. She said again, aside from building talent, there needs to be an infrastructure in place to make use of the talents we are building. Wow, that's a big one. So the talents in Nigeria, who are they going to serve? In
I mean, for the most, yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you hear me? Sorry,
yes,
can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I mean, for the most part already, like, yeah, yeah, fantastic. For the most part already, yeah, what I would tell you is that um, you know, ta- we, talent is already serving the global economy. right? Because we now live in a world where, especially post COVID, you can work from anywhere, you can add value to any company from anywhere. And young people are tapping into that. A lot of young people are leaning into that. Unfortunately, the big barrier is the government.
Mm,
Unfortunately, right? Like the government isn't creating an enabling environment for these young people to work. I mean, there's a lot of young people in the streets protesting, for example, today, because people who work on the internet are frequently harassed by the police, right?
mm,
Um, that's a practical example of how they're not being enabled, right? The infrastructure is poor. A lot of Nigerians, in fact, there was this World Bank report I saw, digital economy indicators, right? Where the World Bank basically said that Nigeria has less infrastructure than Cape Town and Kenya, but similar levels of digital skills and entrepreneurship,
mm,
which is kind of really interesting, right? From the point of view of, wow, like what would happen if we had the same level of infrastructure as Cape Town and Kenya? That means
mm,
things will definitely explode. So I think the only limitation right now is the government.
mm.
But young people are already, they're working remotely. They're okay working remotely. They're working on the internet. They're living on the internet. They're doing everything on the internet. So I don't think they need any. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. Oh, wow. What you're saying is so great because part of my, and this is why, to be very direct, within the government, what I've seen is that a lot of times the training they've been getting, a lot of the training comes from foreign players. And a lot
Mm,
of the policies that they've prioritized favors foreign players. Okay. So they've been implementing all those policies for 20 years, 30 years. And some of them, the best of them, they're like, why is this thing not working? So that's why for me, I stepped into partnering with African Union and
yeah,
not coming at it as they should know better, but I'm saying maybe they don't see the big picture. And I'm putting myself out there to share it in a diplomatic way to say, have you thought about this? And one of the things I shared was, you government, you are the catalyst, you are the enabler. You're not the one to do B2B, but the work you do is going to activate your people, right? It's going to unleash the potential of your people.
exactly.
You have that responsibility. And I shared with them some of the things US government does, even amid COVID-19. Literally, they are asking us, what do you need? How can you help you? Do you need money? Do you need financing? Like they're trying to get that engine of growth coming back. That like literally they are serving us,
Yeah,
right? So I try to in a diplomatic way get them to see. The other thing I try to say is when you look at doing business indicators, there are two types that people should think about.
mm,
There is indicator for external players looking to come into your economy, make money, and take their money and leave. There's
mhm,
some numbers they look at. But the most important indicator should be the people living in that economy. How well are they doing? Are our
mm,
policies favoring our people? So there are times when, Nigeria will say, oh, we just moved up the step of, you know, World Bank doing business. And to me, it's a joke because the biggest indicator is more people are now suffering. While you're saying you are moving up, that's when the world is now saying Nigeria is the country with the largest number of poor people in the world that we've taken over from India. See the conflict. How can you be moving up in doing business index and at the same time becoming the country with the most poor people? Something is off. So the way I could see it is that a lot of the policies, it's external people watching. And another example is look at COVID-19. Most of the policies and activities being implemented by most of the government is being dictated by foreign players, right? Why are we not looking inward? And that's why I also love the AFCFTA and what the African Continental Free Trade Agreement would do inside of Africa as we now start engaging with each other. It's only going to snowball and create dynamic opportunities. So I see more comments and I'm looking at time. We're down to 15, 14 minutes left. So let me quickly run through this.
Yeah.
Isiramen Joseph said, we have a subjective educational system which is outdated. We need to teach value, for our wealth, entrepreneurship and growth over instant. Okay, we need to teach value over wealth, entrepreneurship and growth over instant financial gratification. Can you be the next Minister of Education?
I, I don't know. I'm not the kind of person to serve in government. I'm not. That's not my
Oh my!
ministry.
Oh,
But
let me say this Yoruba. Omaloda beruni, omaloda
no, I mean, public service is a calling. I think when people take look at it from that perspective, then you find people that are much better suited to, addressing specific things, and it requires a lot of knowledge. One of the things I find, people just ask random people that sound intelligent to go and occupy a government seat. That's not really how it works.
Mm-hmm.
You need somebody that's a competent bureaucrat.
Yeah.
To actually, and I've not seen many that are politicians as well.
Yeah.
Very few politicians and competent bureaucrats.
Yeah, and
I wouldn't be the kind of person who would be Minister of Education.
yeah.
But there's a lot to contribute to any government that's willing to work on educating our people, giving them the skills they need to compete in the global economy, because we know they can. So there's a lot to do with a government like that.
Yeah. And one thing I try to say, you and I think we see an eye to eye on many topics. The way I describe it is, imagine if, in an hospital setting, there's been an accident and there's somebody in the emergency room, and they're saying, "Oh, get us the best doctor, get us the best surgeon." And guess who entered the room? It seems stressed. And the seamstress is saying, I'm going to say this in Yoruba and then I'll say it in English. Shebi owu atabere ni. Meaning, is it not needle and thread that you need? A seamstress says, it's needle and thread. That's the instrument of a surgeon, right? I'm too ideal in needle and thread. I will do something. So I say, no matter how well intentioned that seamstress is, the fact is she's not qualified. And she's going to make it a mess of the job. So
exactly.
what's going on that I see is people that look like leaders, people that sound like leaders, people that can talk like leaders, but hey, watch out. When they get there, they will show you. So for me, it's back to, you think about the Senate, the House of Representatives. This real structure, the only people that should have a business in that place should have legal background. The only people that should have a business in creating laws, upholding laws, protecting laws, should be people that went to school to study law. Check it out.
Mm.
So there are so many things you see all over the place. You don't even know where to start from. So for me, I just mind my business. I just say, oh, what can Toyin do? Let Toyin just focus on Toyin. Because when you look from top to bottom and you see, wow, why should you be a lawmaker when you don't have a degree in law? I have no idea. So I'll move on from that topic. I don't want to get into too much trouble, but anyway. Someone else, Israel Man said, not everyone can be wealthy, but everyone should be rich of things if things are managed well. Wealth is built. Okay, let me see. Wealth is built, I think, with infrastructure that's cut cost over time. I didn't get that, but I'm not really sure exactly what you're saying, but I think the main point was, there's also this mindset of, I got to get rich or die trying. I think that is not what we're talking about now. I want to say, how do you solve problems, and how do you create value, and how do you serve? Because businesses exist for all of those things. A business does not exist just to exist. Okay. I'm trying to go through. We have. Do you want to say something?
No. I didn't want to say something except you wanted me to I was just trying to understand if you wanted me to comment or something.
Yes,
I
please
thought,
comment. Comment.
I thought that was a good comment. I
Okay,
noted
okay.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, Aderonke said, I think we need to attract better infrastructure. Every industrial areas liberates economy. I know the last time you spoke at the Trade with Africa Business Summit, you talked about the zones, the things you're
Yeah.
working on. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure, I can share. I mean, we're still working through the process of establishing a special economic zone for technology businesses.
Yeah, and
Um,
we're losing you a little. Your
oh,
video is
sorry,
blurry a
my
little,
video.
but
Okay, so
your sound is clear. Your sound is clear.
yeah, sorry about my video. So I was just
Okay.
saying that yeah, basically we've been working on establishing a special economic.
Okay, we might be losing him again. Economic special economic zone, I think he said. Okay, we're losing. He might drop off again. I think the network. But let me keep going through the questions. Aderonke says when we should promote policies that support big industries and the growth of entrepreneurs to move beyond small business scope. We need to see how badly our GDP is dropping due to COVID. The small businesses cannot survive. Aderonke, you're right, and that's why the government needs to put in place interventions for the small businesses. That's how other economies are doing it right now. Like in the US, they are pumping out resources, financing, support, education, everything they can do to support. Excuse me, this to support businesses. So I don't care. You are absolutely on point, and that's one of my challenges as well. When I was trained, like I said on Saturday, I had the opportunity to train government officials across several African countries, and it's just a matter of, you know, are you back in? I think we lost you a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to come back. Give me a moment. Sorry about that.
Okay, okay, you're
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Sorry. So can you hear me?
Okay, yes, we can hear you. Your sound is good. I think it's just the video.
It's just the internet. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Let me try and put
yeah.
back on the video. Okay.
Okay,
Can you hear me now?
okay, good, good, good. We just had a very nice comment from Aderonke Sito Neye. She was talking about when we should be promoting policies that support big industries and the growth of entrepreneurs um, beyond small business scope. She also
Mm,
said that our GDP is dropping due to COVID and that small businesses cannot survive. And I then was sharing with her that in the US, that the government is putting all kinds of interventions in place to keep small businesses afloat because they are the engine of growth for the economy.
yeah.
And I
No,
know
no, I think that's a good idea.
with yeah, with Flutterwave, Flutterwave basically helped activate, payments for people across the continent, right? So that's something very important. But what else could the government be doing now to help small businesses win?
Yeah, I mean, I think we also need to be thinking about platforms. So the reason why small businesses are such a huge engine of in America is because they're tapped into the value chains of big businesses. So I mean,
Mm,
think about how many small businesses that Walmart sustains. As somebody
mm,
who's been in that position and seen it from the inside, so I
mhm,
understand where Aderonke is coming from. You do need to provide support to fast-growing industries. I don't say big industries anymore because I find that what we really mean by big industries, we've not really built a big industry in a long time in Nigeria. I'd say maybe from about the 80s, 90s. A lot of the people we call billionaires today managed to get government-run businesses, state-owned enterprises at a fraction of the cost during privatization, and that's
mm,
why we're able to build wealth.
mm,
But most of them, I mean, most of them are not organic. Maybe I would say maybe since if I were thinking about an example of a company that's completely organic, maybe the only examples I think about are like GT Bank and Zenith. But
Mm,
very few companies are like completely organic in the way that they grow
mm,
scratch. So I think it's important that we promote policies that support government, that support fast growing enterprises so that they can then support a value chain or provide a platform for a value chain of small
mm.
businesses so that they can thrive.
Oh, wow, wow. As we're talking, there's some things maybe you and I will talk about offline, but when you talked about Walmart, you're absolutely right. Like I was sharing that with someone that Walmart is the largest private real estate owner in the US, next to the government.
Mm,
So when you just think about, so part of the work I did was real estate facilities management. When you just think about the real estate, the maintenance required for that number of real estates, from snow plow remover to plumbing companies to just everything, cleaning, rugs, everything that is required. Most of those things are huge contracts given to SMEs and mid-sized businesses. So you're right. The big business like Walmart actually um is a platform that allows the biggest manufacturers to sell their products and allows the small time moms and pops to also hook on to that infrastructure and make money and grow wealth. From even trucking companies, these are big businesses, right? Trucking companies. One of the jokes used to be that if you can sell egg and put it on a Walmart, you will retire quickly. So you're really spot on. And I see now that we've come to the end of today's chat with Toyin. Um, what are the last comments that you would leave with everybody watching and listening, and those that would watch after now? So, Iyin, what's your parting comments?
yeah. So my I guess my parting comment really is that we have a future to build, and I'm super excited to build it with Nigerians, and there are many ways to build that future, but and you can build it from anywhere now. That's the beauty of everything. It can be as simple as mentoring young people who desperately need guidance and mentorship so that they can take their talents global. You can support businesses on the ground in Nigeria. There's so many ways to support, and we're excited that more and more people are doing that. And I think that over time we'll get the Nigeria we want if we can keep it going.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you so much. You have my support. You know that. And I think I know you and I talk, but over this call, you've gotten me thinking. There might be some things I might reach out to you on that we could do
Hello,
together.
Remy.
Yes, I can still hear you. Okay. So thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone that joined us. This video will be made available to the Trade with Africa network as well. And we will put it out there for other people that want to access it. It's been a huge honor. It's been a huge pleasure to talk to you. I've learned a lot, took notes. Thank you, Inyi, and talk to you soon again.
Talk to you soon.
Bye. Okay, bye to everyone.
Bye, everyone.